Welcome to the City Council meeting for the City of Lamar. It's October the 11th, 2021. I'm Kirk Crispin, presiding officer. Tonight we are starting right away with our meeting. We have Darren Stroh here to start with our invocation. Darren?
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we ask that you would send your Spirit to fall fresh upon these servants that you have appointed to lead and guide this great blessed city. I pray that you will give them wisdom in every step that they take. I pray that you will grant them and inspire them with creativity to meet the needs of this community. I pray that there will be peace and joy in the midst of this journey as well. Thank you so much for their service. I pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Jerry, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, the time is now 7:06. I'll call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Joe Gonzalez,
Here.
Rafael Rodriguez,
Here.
Jerry Jenkins,
Here.
Kurt Crespin,
Here.
Oscar Riley,
Here.
Manuel Temez,
Here.
Anne Marie Crampton,
Here.
Kristen McCray,
Here.
Lance Clark.
All right, we do have one amendment to the agenda. We need to add number 8 and move number 8 to number 9. On number 7, we have a review of a contract for ChargePoint, which is for electric chargers for ChargePoint. Item number 7 is for the same approved electric vehicle charging station license agreement or agreement for Tesla. So we would have number 7 being ChargePoint and number 8 being a duplicate with Tesla. So we would have two different items, number 7 and number 8. Is everybody okay with that? Can we do a motion to make that amendment?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to amend the agenda. Any final questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Jerry?
Unanimous in favor of?
Okay, so we will add that item. Moving on, we do have the consent agenda as submitted. Are there any subtractions or corrections on that?
I need to abstain.
I move we vote on the liquor license for AB and Liquor separately.
Okay,
Second.
so we will separate out the A and B renewal. All those in, well, we don't need to vote on that, we'll just vote on that separate. So can we get a motion on the consent agenda minus the A and B liquor license?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as submitted minus the A and B liquor renewal. Any final questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
Okay, now we just need a motion to approve or deny the A and B liquor renewal.
I move we. Go ahead. I move we approve the A and B liquor license.
I'll
renewal.
second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the A and B renewal license with Jerry Jenkins abstaining. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
Okay. Next item on the agenda is the public comment portion. During this portion of the meeting, anyone may speak on any subject that does not appear on the agenda. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each, and it is at the discretion of the council. Would anybody like to speak to the council on an agenda item that's not listed? Seeing none, we will move on with the council meeting. Next item on the agenda is the city treasurer's report.
I have nothing for this evening.
Okay. Do we have any questions for the city treasurer before we move forward? Seeing none, we'll move on to the city clerk's report. Linda?
So the August sales and use tax collected in September was $369,089.13, which was up 10.31%, or $34,506.86 from 2020. Our year-to-date collections are $3,600,035.56, which is up 16.70%, or $515,040.79 from 2020. And that is all I have.
Wow, that is a very significant amount, very good numbers. For those who don't notice, that is one of those where we had increases last year, and to have them again this year is a very good thing for our city. Do you have any questions for Linda before we move on? Seeing none, we'll move on to the city administrator's report. Anne Marie Crampton, do you have anything as the Mayor Pro Tem City Administrator?
So I'm going to do a little personal advertising on my other job, and it's on the report. Boots, Bling, and Blessings, LCC Foundation's fundraiser event is Saturday, October 16th at the LCC Equine Complex at 6 p.m. The reason why I wanted to bring that up is to let people know, in case you've forgotten, $10,000 of last year's Boots, Bling, and Blessings proceeds are going to EMT scholarships. So if you don't think it affects the city, think again. Because that's how we get EMTs, by helping them
That's right.
obtain their certificates. Thank you.
Do you want to do number one as well?
Well, we had the antelope stampede,
It's already happened.
yes, and it was good.
Yeah.
So this is the season of tons of athletic events. Every weekend there will be some kind, including volleyball game tonight. So if you need some athletics in your life, go down south. We're playing all kinds of ball.
Okay. Anything else?
I don't think so.
All right, so moving on, we have CIRSA, who is our risk insurance agency for the city. They're doing a sexual harassment and violence in the workplace training on Wednesday, October the 13th from 10:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. in the Cultural Events Center. We have a public forum Wednesday night right here in the council chambers. So October the 13th, 2021. This forum will be in a couple of different pieces. We'll have a question and answers for the mayor candidates, as well as for the Ward 3 candidates. And then afterwards, we'll have just more of a public forum for people to speak in favor or against the marijuana initiative. Everybody will have a chance to speak for the 3 minutes each and give their opinion or their thoughts on that topic. And this will be broadcast live, just like our video streaming of the city council meetings, as well as broadcast live on KBAY radio. So, might tune into that. Number 4 is their Center Towards Self-Reliance will celebrate their 30th anniversary on Saturday, October the 16th, 2021, from 1 to 3 p.m. at the Lamar Community Building. Then we have Moonlight Madness that'll happen on Thursday, October the 28th, 2021, beginning at 6 p.m. And then finally, we need to discuss the next council breakfast. We did one last month at the end of the month, but did we want to set a specific date, or we were doing it the first Wednesday of the month? We could do it the second, we could do it on the 15th.
I thought we were going to do it in the evening instead of a breakfast.
Okay. And we
I
can
thought
do
that's
that.
what we had discussed.
Is that what we decided over there at the park when we were going to do a cookout or something like that?
Okay.
Yeah, that was a thought, yeah.
That was the thought.
So we want to do a dinner instead of a breakfast, or I guess I'm hors d'oeuvres instead of breakfast? Manuel?
I'm good either way.
Oscar?
Whatever the majority votes for.
Anne Marie?
I think evenings get very complicated. I know we haven't had the greatest of attendance in the mornings, but we may have even less attendance in the evenings. So that would be, maybe we can do a survey.
We could try it.
I'm all, let's give it a shot, see what it does, and see how it goes, and if
Then
it works,
we'll
it
know.
works. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
will give us an idea for next month if it's gonna work or not.
Yeah. Okay, well, we could try it this month doing, I know we had talked about doing one at La Lupita's, and they don't really open very early for breakfast, do they? So maybe that would be a good evening one where we just try it, some basic hors d'oeuvres and meet and greet. Do you have a specific day that you would like to try that?
Earlier in the month, because things get complicated at the end.
Yep, well, with Wednesday night, we have the meet and greet, or the public forum, the 20th to 27th, and then we're up to the 3rd of November, so there's really not
Let's
a
go
lot
for
of times, but
27th.
we can shoot for the last Wednesday of the month. Is that okay with everybody?
Sure. I'm fine with that.
Okay, so I will get with Brenda and have her make arrangements and see what we can do with La Lupita's. If not, we'll find an alternative site.
6 o'clock?
6 p.m.
We calling this a social, or what are we calling it?
Yeah, I would say it's a meet and greet. You think, would that be okay? Council meet and greet? Or do you want to call it council conversation? Council social? Council
Council
extravaganza?
Council social sounds fine. Council social sounds fine to me.
Everybody?
Yeah.
Sure.
Social, everybody?
Fine.
Okay. All right, that's taken care of then. That's the only thing I had left on my city administrator report. One last thing on the city administrator report. We did have our new city administrator, Robert Evans, who had visited us earlier this week, or over the weekend as well. He did sign the agreement. We do now have an official city administrator with Rob, and we are very excited to have him come to Lamar. We have his start date set for November the 1st. However, he may be in and out and visiting. I know tonight he's watching on Facebook, and he was going to Zoom in, but we made some changes at the last minute, but it's okay because we do have him watching on Facebook. So we'll keep him in the loop, and we'll get him started as soon as possible, but we are excited to have him here, and my understanding is while he was here this weekend, he did find a house already, so that's great to hear. All right, so we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, reports and correspondence from council. Do we have any reports, liaison reports, or any other correspondence?
I don't have any.
I don't have any. None.
No.
None.
What happened to that card that I was passing around?
It's right there in front of you.
Oh, okay. I did receive a card from Candy Rudiman and the family. Of course, George Skip Rudiman was one of our previous council members who had passed away recently, and she had sent us a copy of the program from the funeral services, and she sent a thank you to all the city of Lamar, city council, and employees. It is with great sincere gratitude that I and Jeff and Dan thank all of you for your kind words and thoughts. The donation to Babe Ruth is so appreciated. Take Me Out to the Ball Game was played at his services. Lamar was our home. The town and the people are very special to us. Sincerely, Candy Rudiman, Skip's wife. So that was very nice for her to send that. I wanted to share that with the council so that they would know that it was greatly appreciated in the thoughts. Any other items for correspondence? Reports? Okay, we shall move on to old business. All right, first item on the old business is a resolution 21-1001, a resolution of the City of Lamar, Colorado, renaming Commercial Street as Sandoval Lane. This was initiated by Jerry Jenkins and worked on with Linda Williams. They're asking, the Sandoval family made a request to change Commercial Street to Sandoval Lane. The Sandoval family has lived on what is now Commercial Street since September of 1951. Thomas and Carrie Sandoval purchased their first property in September of 51, and Cipriano Sandoval, and beginning in August 1952, began purchasing other lots on Commercial Street as well. With Commercial Street already being within the city's total arterial mileage, and will be a name change only with nothing added or removed from the total mileage, there is no public hearing required. The resolution created to change the street name will allow us to update maps and record changes in the GIS department, Prowers County, and with the Postal Service. So with that said, I'd like to see if Jerry would read the resolution. Yes, come on, come on. All right, I'll read the resolution then. Resolution 21-10-01, a resolution of the City of Lamar, Colorado, renaming Commercial Street as Sandoval Lane. Whereas the City of Lamar, Colorado desires to rename Commercial Street that runs north and south between East Maple Street and Avenida Colonia as Sandoval Lane. And whereas in addition to designating the roadway Sandoval Lane, the City of Lamar, Colorado desires to initiate and proceed with or confirm that the roadway to be designated as Sandoval Lane is included in the City of Lamar's total mileage and arterial mileage registered with the Colorado Department of Transportation. And whereas the City of Lamar, Colorado originally designated its total mileage and arterial mileage for the street system pursuant to the provisions of Section 43-2-125 of the Colorado Revised Statutes, and whereas any additions or confirmations of the total mileage and arterial mileage of the city's street system must comply with the provisions of subsection 2 of Section 43-2-125 of the Colorado Revised Statutes. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Lamar, Colorado, that the City of Lamar hereby renames Commercial Street that runs north and south between East Maple Street and Avenida Colonia as Sandoval Lane. Be it further resolved that the City Council of the City of Lamar, Colorado desires to add or confirm the inclusion of Sandoval Lane in the city's total mileage and arterial mileage as reported to the Colorado Department of Transportation. So, Jerry, would you like to say anything on this or discuss this at all?
It's been quite a while to get it done. It's emotional because I did get thank you comments from some of the girls, and I told them that they couldn't say anything till we got this taken care of. But again, thanks to Linda and Lance and everybody who helped out. And like you girls said, your grandmas and grandpas would be really happy to see this, and your mom who's been sick. And so, like I said, sorry it took a while, but it got done, and I'm happy that it did for all of you guys. Okay?
And my understanding is the majority of this street is all owned by the Sandovals, so
Yes.
from end to end,
Yes.
on the whole side.
Thomas purchased the property from his dad in 1951, and then more property in 1952. I had to do my homework. And so it's been 70 plus years that it's been in your Sandoval family. Yeah.
So that's where the significance would be, is that, of course, we can't change every street and every name for every family, but when it's a significant amount of length of time, that's what why we were considering it, is that the Sandoval family has owned all the property since the 50s, and since it has stayed in the family within that whole time, and they own the full area, that's why it was being considered. But do you want to add anything else, or?
Nope.
So it's up to the council, and
I would like to motion that we change Commercial Street, commercial to Sandoval Lane.
Second.
okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. My understanding is it would be to approve the resolution 21-1001.
Yes.
Do you want to amend your motion to include that?
Amend.
Okay, second. So we've amended the motion and a second to approve the renaming with resolution 21-1001. Are there any final questions? Would you guys like to make any comments before we do the final vote?
Yeah, we have a couple of letters.
Could you come up? Would you mind coming up and speaking?
So, my family was, my dad was,
Can you tell us your name and?
my name is Mercy Sandoval.
And are you here in Lamar or you're?
I live in Pueblo. I moved 20 years ago,
Okay,
but this is my home.
okay.
And first of all, I want to thank the city of Lamar for recognizing the contributions of the Sandoval family. This event would have not been possible without the support of this community, so I want to thank you. My dad, Frank Sandoval, and my mom, Candelaria Sandoval, now been deceased but married for 65 years, and this is our home, you know. It's just, I just started driving in here and I got emotional and everything too, but I'm thinking, well, maybe I'll just retire and come back home, you know. But we got a lot of good memories. I have two grandsons that graduated from, a grandson and a granddaughter from Lamar High School, Andres Guevara and Ashley Guevara. And also, I have a brother, Martin Sandoval. He's a pharmacist. He went to college at Lamar Community College. He said his first 2 years were the best years ever here in Lamar. Then he went to CU Boulder and finished out his college. So, and then we have Wilder's Entertainment. My mom and dad had a family band of 17 years. So they played all over Lamar and all over town. And a police officer, Nathan Losa. And then he went into the military and stuff. So I'm just tickled, you know, and Lamar has become the origin of so many successful people. And thank you everyone for your support and for, we are greatly appreciated for everything that you've done for us. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, you guys might know me. I forgot the donuts. I'm Gloria Madrid. First of all, and Maggie. First of all, we want to thank you for considering this street name change. It truly is an honor and a blessing to our family. When my Aunt Hope, she's sitting over there in the white sweater, when she asked if this could happen, we never thought it would ever be considered. And when Jerry called and gave us the good news, I was so happy. The first person I called was my mom, as she is currently fighting cancer in Denver. She was so happy and proud, she started crying. I then called my Aunt Hope and my Aunt Christina and the rest of the family. Maggie and Candace helped spread the word. I think everyone has been notified as it is a huge family. We just want to give you a little bit of our family history. So Severiano was a Azteca and Me Urbana from Piedras Negras, Coahuila, Mexico. They became Mr. and Mrs. Sandoval. They came to the United States with Grandpa Damasio being only 9 months old. They only paid 25 cents to cross the border. They came here to give us all a better life and a good future. Great-grandpa never wanted any of us to struggle, and he worked very hard to give his children what he thought they needed to have. He was an agricultural worker, providing his family with food by growing it, trading it for meat, and also selling it for profit. He grew vegetables, fruits, herbs, and flowers. People from all over came to buy. My great-grandmother, Mother Urbana, was a homemaker. Their motto in life was to live for Jesus. They had their own prayer room like a shed where they would go daily and pray. They would attend Mass every day, and they would have a huge Christmas gathering where they would invite the community and make tamales for everyone. Sorry. Everyone came all over to pray with them. They helped fund and build the Catholic church that's on 2nd Street. In 1951, great-grandpa bought property. He bought most of the property where Commercial Street is. It extended into where Dragon currently is. He also bought lots of cemetery for all of his children. There was a big flood and most of the paperwork got damaged. He lost most of the property to the city and to the cemetery. They had 7 children, Juan, Damasio, Frank, Thomas, Severo, Ofelia, and Francis. Juan died at a young age, leaving behind a wife and children. Damasio married Dolores, and they together had 7 children. He was an agriculture worker following in his dad's footsteps. He worked at XY Ranch in Grenada and Western Alfalfa. He and his brothers also helped build the big tower at the park when they were little boys. Dolores was a homemaker, never having to work a day in her life. My Uncle Frank married Candelaria, and they together had 7 children. Frank worked at Nail Plant and did janitorial jobs around the area. He was a very social man and enjoyed music. He started a band with his children. They played all over the area. He was a janitor at Kmart, and he loved to play the role of Santa. He loved tap dancing and was often remembered as the dancing Santa. His wife Candelaria sold baked goods, breads, and lollipops to provide for the family. Thomas Sandoval was inducted into the Army on August 10, 1942. After basic training at Camp Walter, Texas, he was assigned to the 35th Infantry as an ammunition handler. His sister passed away. He comes home to attend her funeral and marries Carolina. He then went to Europe, to the beaches of Normandy, where they were instantly attacked. He had been fighting, and things went from bad to worse. He said, I didn't ever figure I was coming back when I saw my buddies laying all over. I thought, this is it. I'll either win or I die. He stepped up to handle a 35-pound machine gun dropped by a fallen comrade. He continued to fight, carrying the machine gun, 2 grenades, and a K rations. Suddenly he felt the breath sucked out of him as mortal shrapnel exploded through both sides of his chest. Fighting for his life on that wheat field, he struggled to get up. His buddies pushed him back down, telling him not to move, he'll only be a better target. He was laying there drifting in and out of consciousness. He was dragged 1,500 yards to safety. At the field hospital, he began a very intense battle for his life. He had extensive chest and arm injuries and lost 2 ribs. He credits a K-ration cheese, which saved his life. The shrapnel hit his right side, hitting the can of cheese instead of his heart. When he was recovered sufficiently, he was shipped back to the United States and stayed at the Army Hospital in Utah for 18 months. His wife quickly rushed by his side. He was discharged on November 8, 1945. He returned to Lamar. He then worked at WHO for 14 years. He also worked for Western Alfalfa in Grenada for 18 years. He was 57 years old when he was able to receive help from the disabled American veterans. He was a Purple Heart recipient of World War II and a true American hero. Thomas and Carrie together had 20 children, with 19 surviving and still surviving today.
Wow.
Severo Sandoval never married, and he never had any children. He loves all of his nieces and nephews. He also worked at Western Alfalfa and later signed up for the Army. He was ready to go to the Vietnam War. He got aboard the plane, ready to fight, and when he landed, the Vietnam War was over. Ofelia was the oldest sister. She did marry and she did have children, but she passed away of depression at a young age. Frances, she also married, had children. She passed away giving birth to her baby. The baby also passed away. They were buried together. Although my grandparents suffered from a lot of racism and discrimination, their children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, and so on, their goal to live for Jesus and to show them how to work hard was successful. Thomas Sandoval Jr. ran for mayor in Kansas. Larry Sandoval made a career in the Army and was there for 20 years. Kevin Sandoval enlisted in the Navy. Zach Montoya enlisted in the Air Force. Ruben Gonzalez went to the Marines, and Julio Gonzalez is currently in the Army. We also have had family members that hold records in Lamar High School. Felix Sandoval ran 2 miles in 9.49 minutes. And Larry Sandoval currently holds the record for running a mile in 4 minutes and 43 seconds. Go Savages. We had a pharmacist, Martin Sandoval. Then we had another survivor, Frankie Sandoval. He got struck by lightning and he survived. We had a current business owner, Dolores Adami with Can Do Construction. Angela Sandoval is an artist, developer in music production and music publication. And a big boss guy that everyone here might know is Martin Montoya. He is the Deputy Public Works Director. We have many family members near and far, so many with great accomplishments, and we have also lost many. This is truly an amazing and strong family, and just to think that all of this happened because of two humble people. Our ancestors would be proud to know that kind people like yourselves have made this all possible. Our family name Sandoval will live on forever in Little Lamar, Colorado. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments, questions? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second to approve the resolution. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
Ready, give me the sign. Did you want to come down, Jerry? So if the family can come up, we have a little present for you.
Since Martin's not here, you want me to take your picture?
Yes, if you would. No, I'll send right there, copy.
Sign it, I'll go make a copy.
Okay, so I'll sign the resolution here that was approved by the council. Introduced, passed, and adopt this 11th day of October, 2021. So I'll give, who would like to receive these? Come on around, let's turn around so we can face the audience, and they're going to take a picture. So if you come on up. Right. Squeeze in here. Sorry.
Somebody want to grab that sign?
Sorry. All right, so who would be the eldest? So how about we come around on this side over here? And then, so 2 items. You have it right there, okay. So this is the resolution that we signed. You can have that. Okay, take a picture of that. Okay. And then the last but not least, will be this one. Okay, ready?
You just hold it down a little bit, like where it fence. No, down again. Just a little more to the right. There, oh, no, don't breathe.
All right. There you go.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for the history lesson.
I know, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
No, it was interesting.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you guys for coming.
Probably see you tomorrow.
All right, thank you. We will move on. Huh? And if you'd like, you can go ahead and you don't need to stay for the whole meeting. You're welcome to stay if you'd like to. But it's up to you. If you'd like to leave, that would be okay too. I would understand. You bet. All right, so the next item on the agenda we have is new business. We need to do a public hearing for our 2022 budget. So If the council would like to enter into a public hearing for the
So
okay.
Second.
So we have a motion.
Who made the motion?
Raphael? Raphael made the motion. Joe made the second to move into public hearing for the 2022 budget. All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
Okay, so now we are in the public session. So the public hearing would be for the budget for 2022. We can review any public comments that we would need to have. We'll open up with the proof of publication with the city treasurer, Kristen.
It was published in the September 29th edition of the Prowers Journal and also hung on the front of the building as required. Again, it has to be 5 days prior to the hearing, so it was done in plenty of time. Budgets were also laid for public inspection in the clerk's office, so.
Okay, great. And then did you have any opening remarks there, Linda, for the budget? I got you as opening remarks.
I do not.
Go for it.
Oh, good. Do you have any opening
It's a good
remarks?
budget.
It's a good budget. Darn
There
good.
were just minimal changes. There were a few changes. They were the corrections that everybody had brought forward. There were some cosmetic things done. I had missed a few things that were in the previous notes of budget meetings, so I tried to get everything that I could in there and still balance the budget. There was a position in fire that I added, and one in ambulance for captains, shift captains. We adjusted the capital just a little bit to better meet the needs of after we'd had the meetings and the work sessions. So it's presented in what I didn't change it since the email that I sent you, the official presentation of the budget. So what you had that night was what's in the budget right now, so.
Okay. Council, do you have any questions or comments on it?
Airport,
Yes, sir.
does that include grants from the federal government?
Yes, I had to move everything over in there because it'll be held like it'll be a business type fund like your water and sanitation. So we'll run the FAA grants now through that
Okay.
fund, starting on January 1.
Because I know we didn't budget $2 million for the airport.
No, sir, we didn't.
That's why.
Right.
Okay.
We have taxiway A that we'll be finishing it up in the master plan that we'll be finishing up in 2022. So I tried to cover those in that budget. Again, that budget is still, there's a lot of unknowns in it, so I tried to cover what I know best at this point. So I will be glad when we have another year under our belt to get better history and a better idea of what we're going to do with it. So I know we're working on some staffing issues right now. Pat and Eric are working through those, and Martin. So, I think once we kind of get a handle on how we need to staff it to get the best turnaround for the repairs, I think that was kind of something we're lacking right now. So we're working towards a good, a good airport. I still think in my heart that it's going to work. I think the revenues are going to be there to make this work. It's still just sort of gray, and I don't do well with gray, but I tried to cover every unknown that I could think of in this budget, so.
And looking year to date, we're breaking even.
We were breaking
But
even,
that's
yes.
including the significant amount that we initially invested, the
Part of it,
100,000
yeah.
roughly.
We were a little bit behind, but when you take that out, because that was a one-time charge.
Right.
We are breaking even.
Right.
yes.
That
So-
includes our curb and gutter for cobblestone as well?
Oh, no, this is, we're talking about the airport.
Okay.
So the airport, having it separated out since we took over as the FBO, Kristen had separated out as its own enterprise fund, so we can manage it and actually see the performance of that just by itself. So
Right.
that's what we were hoping to do with this, but
I just don't
Yeah.
have a lot of history. We don't have a lot of time, doing it separate as a separate entity, basically, so.
yeah.
But, so what you see before you is my best guess.
Well, we've
So-
only had it, what, 6 months maybe?
Yes, sir.
6 months?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I feel like it's doing well. We are still, there's a steady stream of revenue from the fuel sales. So, and they've been able to still get fuel, which is good in this day and age. So, we see a steady revenue coming in. So Linda and I are still working on some of the tax and things like that we're going to work through in the next couple of months. But you see that steady stream of revenue coming in from the fuel sales. We'd like to bump, the repairs and that type of thing up. We just haven't had the staff to do so at this point, I think. So
Yeah.
Pat's got a plan for that, so he's been working on that as well, so.
So speaking of Pat, we had some discussions over the last couple of weeks as well on operating budgets. And to refer back to Joe's question, we did put in some separate funds for improvements, for incentives, things of that
We
nature.
did.
So we did have some funds extra put aside. I think we did 50,000?
100,000.
100,000.
In water.
In water for taps and,
And then
did we do
streets.
streets as well? We
We
did some
put
extra?
some in streets, yeah. We weren't real sure exactly what, because they thought they could cover it with what they had for the
Right.
cobblestone, but.
So we have a couple of developments coming up, of course, the cobblestone development that we're working on. That one had a little bit more significant investment with the wastewater. They're gonna have to redirect some lines and the water lines that are over there. So that's why they put the extra 100,000 in, to make sure we had enough to offset that.
That's correct.
On the street portion of it, there are some, they've already completed some significant repairs over there in development over by the cobblestone, but we do have another one across the street that we'll be looking at for Anderson Street, some improvements there as well. So we did try to put in some extra funds in their street department for that,
And we-
just in case.
Right, and Pat thought it'd be more like the asphalt and overlays and things like that they could take care of out of their streets capital that we have set aside for them, that
150.
Kurt, if you don't mind, I had the opportunity to visit with some of those down there in the fire department, and it brought concern to me. One individual is explaining to me that they're so short-staffed that they had to have animal control drive the ambulance for them at one point to the hospital. So, I mean, that's kind of a concern. I mean, if they're short-staffed, I mean, can we find it somewhere in the future to put into our budget to give a few more positions into the
So that's what I did. I
fire
put-
department there to help them out and appropriate what they need for bodies?
Right.
Another thing that came to my attention when I was visiting with them down there, I know it's probably a long far from here, but was the pay scale. They said La Junta right now is starting their fire department off at $18 an hour, and we are less than $15 an hour. And we got one individual right now that's driving an hour to her job here in Lamar. And we got another one from Fluorescent, driving from Fluorescent to her shift here in Lamar. And I'm like, my goodness, how are we gonna be attractive to them and how are we gonna keep them? You know, I mean, so if we can find it in our, in the future with our budget to work with that, to keep those in our fire department, and I think that's important to us.
Oh, definitely, and I think through
Yeah.
that salary study that we're getting ready to do, that's gonna be one of our main focuses right now, is to try to get those salaries up. I do have the 2 positions budgeted, one in fire, one in ambulance right now. And we also did a 5% increase to try to help cover some of
That's
those
great.
costs.
So, and just to reiterate, like Kristen said, we did budget in for the salary study throughout the whole city.
Yes.
So we had talked about this a couple of months ago where the council, Margaret had brought in the idea to do the salary study. We did talk about it and we directed her to get the information for the salary study. Kristen has put that in the budget. The last time we did one was in 2019 or 18, do you remember?
I think it was 18. I think it got adopted in 18.
Okay, so it's been quite some time. And what the salary study does is it's one of the most difficult things that we ran into was we hear, oh, well, La Junta's doing this, or Los Animas is paying this, or so-and-so is paying that. We could go out and we can research them, and one city may pay more than another, and that's just the way it happens, where we can't compete with every individual city. But what we do with the salary study is we take a survey statewide. And this company that we're hiring will take a survey statewide with similar sized communities, similar sized budgets, similar sized departments. And they'll do an average and give us a high and low, medium and low. of what everybody is making. And that gives us kind of our salary survey or our salary chart. And then when we go to hire people, we have the low, medium, and high that we can fit them into. And what it does is it gives us an opportunity to stay competitive statewide, not just in one area or another. Because like I was saying, one city may be paying more than another. And for us to just pick the highest and go with that's not really feasible. So
Well,
we
and I
want to
think
try
the
to get an
other-
average.
I think that-
I understand that with the salary plan, and, you know, my understanding was, I hope it was affecting the police department, the fire department.
Yeah.
Not only that, but the CDL drivers that we have, you know, because I see a lot of that taking place, but in different areas with our adjustments in salary. So I didn't know if it was affecting the fire department, whatnot, and so forth like that, but I'm happy to hear that it is.
Especially with the change of the minimum wage, it really shifted everybody across the board. And if we were to just move up the lower paid employees up to the minimum wage, then all of our middle level employees would be taking a hit. So we're really having to juggle that and try to figure it out.
And so what my intent was too with that 2% cost of living is that it keeps everybody at a level and it keeps moving them up a little bit. And then there's room in there for merit. And that's one department that really needs to focus on getting those evaluations done and those merit increases done, because it's to keep up. That helps keep employees as well as attracting them. So you've got to keep those guys competitive and paid. They work hard, and right now they're at the end. Like I said, I'm on the list to help drive because they're short. So it's serious right now. So we've got to give them whatever relief we can right now. So-
And I know in the street department with Pat, him and I, and Rick, we've had a lot of discussions about career paths. One of the easiest ways to attract people or keep people or retain people is to actually give them a career path. If they think that they're in their job and that's all they're going and that's all they'll be for the rest of the time, it's harder for them to, or it's easier for somebody to come in and show them something different. But if we have a career path with promotional items, ways for them to promote, ways for them to get certifications, ways for them to improve their value, it gives them a path that they can move forward on and continue to grow and advance. So I've been pushing the street department and the rec department to try to do that. And I'm sure Jeremy has some of that and Kyle does as well, but that's something that is really a big benefit as well. As long as we can review those career paths and make it to where we can do that, that helps a lot. So, Anne Marie, do you want to add anything or questions, or?
I don't think so.
I put you on the spot, sorry. Any other council questions or comments?
I don't.
Nope. We did try to add in those incentives because this year we were kind of scrambling of where to get the incentive dollars at, but this next year we'll have them more embedded, so it's easier to find those funds.
Well, thank you, thank you.
Earmarked. Okay. That was the council comments. Now we'll open the floor to anybody from the public. If anybody would like to speak for or against the budget as it's submitted. Do you have anybody who would like to speak for or against the budgets? Seeing none, I will close the floor. Council, what would be your pleasure?
I'll close public hearing. So moved.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. Any final questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
Okay. Next item on the agenda is the 2022 Light and Power Budget Presentation to the City Council. We have Hussein Hooray here to just talk to the council.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. The proposed LUB budget for 2022 determines the revenue requirements needed from electric retail rates consisting primarily of transmission, distribution, and wind power generation activities. The budget includes total revenue in excess of $17.8 million $16.4 million from retail electric sales, and the remaining primarily from wind turbine production. The 2022 budget is proposing total operating expenses of $15.3 million, which include $11 million for power supply. Additional expenditures include $1,335,715 for personnel costs, $1,855,386 for repairs and maintenance, wind turbine bond payment, $386,622. Of that, $371,914 principal payment. A charter appropriation of $1,750,395, which is the full 12% of retail sales as allowed by the charter. The charter appropriation will be reduced by $350,000 credit transfer from Lamar ARPA settlement as approved by Lamar City Council. The charter appropriation then becomes 8.5% of total retail sales. $1,288,720 in capital outlays, which include $100,000 in contingency funding, $287,000 in distribution line work, $160,000 for wind turbines parts and maintenance, $180,000 for vehicles, which is one vehicle, small bucket truck. $561,720 for miscellaneous other equipment that includes completion of advanced metering infrastructures, AMI system upgrade throughout the system. The proposed 2022 budget reflects costs of maintaining Lamar wind turbines, electric distribution, substations, and transmission systems. We are continuing our efforts in exploring options to improve electric system reliability by maintaining a balance between rates and system improvements. We remain focused on our mission. Lamar Light and Power will continually strive to provide reliable power at competitive rates to all consumers and businesses we serve throughout Broward and Benton counties. We will provide professional service through a commitment to excellence and work to maintain Lamar and the surrounding area as vital progressive communities. That is our proposed budget.
Okay. Do you have any questions from the city council on their proposed budget for the Lamar Light and Power?
Do those wind turbines produce enough electricity to cover their cost?
Yes, it's based on the cost per kilowatt hour, and they average about 4 cents, which is a lot cheaper even from what we get from WAPA Power, Western Area Power Administration. So the more wind we get, the more they stay online, the cheaper it gets and becomes cost effective. So it helps to average or lower the average rates for ARPA communities, all 6 members, including Lamar.
Don't want to open a can of worms, but I am curious, do we have anybody in Lamar that does solar in our city, that uses solar?
We have residential. We
Customers?
have about
Yeah.
12 customers.
12 residential
Yeah,
customers?
they
Okay.
have put in solar.
I've been asked a lot about that lately, individuals that are wanting to start with solar and they weren't sure where to go. And I did mention them to talk to, call the Lamar Light and Power and discuss it with you. I just didn't know how many have actually been implemented within the city limits. So.
Yeah, we have 12 customers, and on our website, there's an agreement.
Okay.
And all the instruction that they can follow, and they can also call.
Okay. I just didn't want to get into a long discussion about it or get detailed, but I'm glad you mentioned it. That way we can direct people to you.
For residential, 10 kW, the max.
10 kilowatt?
And, 10 kilowatts. And then for businesses, 25 kilowatts.
Okay. Okay. Do we have any businesses that are using it?
None yet.
None yet. Okay. All right. Any other questions for Hussein before he leaves? This was mainly a presentation, informative, so there's no action to be taken. All right. Thank you,
Thank you for
Hussein.
your time. Thank you.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is an ordinance providing for the appropriation of revenues and expenditures and adopting the budget for the city of Lamar, Colorado for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2022. Since this is an ordinance, it does need to be read. Would you like to power read it, or would you want me to, Anne Marie, or Emmanuel, or anybody?
I can read it.
Okay.
An ordinance providing for the appropriation of revenues and expenditures and adopting the budget for the city of Lamar, Colorado for the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2022, to be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Lamar, Colorado. Section 1, the various appropriations from the revenue of the City of Lamar, Colorado to defray the expenses and liabilities thereof during the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2021, shall be under the following heads: General Fund, E911 Fund, Sales Tax Fund, Conservation Trust Fund, Unemployment Fund, Victim Assistance Fund, Capital Improvement Fund, Lamar Building Finance Corp., Library Fund, Fairmont Investment Fund, Sanitation Fund, Water and Sewer Fund, Lamar Ambulance Fund. Section 2, the following amounts under the respective funds are hereby appropriated out of the revenue that shall accrue to said city during the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2022. General Fund, $9,129,739. E911 Fund, $612,906. Sales Tax Fund, $4,187,100. Conservation Trust, $90,000. Unemployment Fund, $10,000. Victim Assistance Fund, $15,200. Capital Improvement Fund, $4,845,000. Lamar Building,
$4,800,000.
$4,845,000. Lamar Building Finance Corp., $79,883. Library Fund, $45,240. Fairmont Investment Fund, $40,800. Sanitation Fund, $2,385,000. Water Sewer Fund, $3,808,133. Lamar Ambulance Fund, $641,047. Airport Fund, $2,354,635. Section 3, the budget as follows is hereby adopted by the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2022. General Fund revenue, $9,129,739. Expenditures, $9,127,132. Revenues over and expenditures, $2,607. Total appropriation general fund, $9,129,739. E911 fund revenues, $612,906. Expenditures, $612,906. Revenues over or under zero. Total appropriation E911 fund, $612,906. Sales tax fund revenues, $4,187,100. Expenditures, $4,187,100. Revenues over or under zero. Total appropriation sales tax fund, $4,187,100. Conservation trust fund revenues including fund balance used, $90,000. Expenditures, $90,000. Revenues under or over zero. Total appropriation conservation trust, $90,000. Unemployment fund revenues including fund balance used, $10,000. Expenditures, $10,000. Revenues over or under $0. Total appropriation unemployment fund, $10,000. Victim assistance fund revenues including fund balance used, $15,200. Expenditures, $15,200. Revenues are under or over expenditure zero. Total appropriation victims assistance fund, $15,200. Capital improvement fund revenues including the fund balance used, $4,845,000. Expenditures, $4,845,000. Revenues under over expenditure zero. Total appropriation capital improvement fund, $4,845,000. Lamar Building Finance Corp. Operating revenue, $79,893. Operating expenditures, zero. Net income, $79,893. Library fund revenues, $45,240. Expenditures, $45,200. Revenues over would be $40. Total appropriation library fund, $45,240. Fairmont Investment Fund Revenues, including fund balance used, $40,800. Expenditures, $40,800. Revenues over or under expenditures, 0. Total appropriation Fairmount Investment Fund, $45,800. Sanitation Fund, operating revenues, $1,633,000. Operating expenditures, $1,077,365. Net operating income, $555,635. Non-operating revenue, $752,000. Non-operating expenditures, $1,295,825. Net non-operating income loss of $543,825. Net income or loss, net income of $11,810. Water sewer fund operating revenue $3,304,603. Operating expenditures $1,697,502. Net operating income $1,607,131. Non-operating revenue $503,500. Non-operating expenditures, $2,110,571. Net non-operating income, a loss of $1,607,071. Net income, $60. Lamar Ambulance Fund, revenues including fund balance used, $641,047. Expenditures, $641,047 for 0 revenue under or over. Airport Fund, operating revenue $573,650. Operating expenditures $550,118. Net operating income $23,532. Non-operating revenue $1,780,985. Non-operating expenditures $1,790,585. Net non-operating income, a loss of $9,600 for a net income of $13,932. Section 4, there is hereby pursuant to Article 11 of the Charter of said City of Lamar, Colorado, appropriated from the revenue of the Utilities Board the sum of $1,750,395. Introduced, read in full, passed in first reading, and ordered published this 11th day of October 2021.
Okay. So those of you who are watching, anytime we have an ordinance, we need to read the whole ordinance out loud. So that way it is public knowledge, public information. So that is why we had to go through the whole process of the budget ordinance being passed. So thank you, Anne Marie, for reading that. That was kind of lengthy and it's always a challenge. So with that said, what is the pleasure of the council?
I move we approve the ordinance.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the ordinance on first reading. All those in favor?
Hold on, can we do the
Oh,
correction?
we do have a correction. You are
Fair
correct. I did see
Fair
that.
enough.
So there was a correction on page 3
Thank you.
for the total appropriation Fairmont Investment Fund needed to be $40,800. I did have that written down. Thank
Good
you.
job, Lance.
Lance had that too. Good job, Lance. Good catch. So would you like to amend your motion?
I will.
Thanks.
So we have amended motion to approve the ordinance with the correction of the total appropriation Fairmont Investment Fund of $40,800 to match. Any final questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is one more ordinance. Ordinance to levy and collect taxes in the city of Lamar, Colorado for the fiscal year beginning January 1 of 2022. Pursuant to section 5-1 of the Lamar City Charter, we hereby submit a proposed ordinance that will set the annual mill levy. Staff recommends that the mill levy be set at 13.239 mills upon each dollar of the valuation assessment of all taxable property within the city limits for the year 2021. If approved, This will be the 34th consecutive year that the city has operated without any type of property tax mill levy increase. So 34 years we have not increased the mill levy for the property tax. With a mill levy of 13.239 mills, the city will collect $458,835 in 2022. This represents an increase of approximately 4.8% from $437,817 in 2021. So I'll definitely read this ordinance because it's very short. Be happy to help. An ordinance to levy and collect taxes on the city of Lamar, Colorado for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2022. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Lamar, Colorado, Section 1, that for purpose of meeting all general operating expenses for the City of Lamar during the 2022 budget year, there is hereby levied a tax of 13.239 mills upon each dollar of the total valuation of assessment of all taxable property within the City of Lamar for the year 2021. Section 2, that the city clerk is hereby authorized and directed to immediately certify the county commissioners of Prowers County, Colorado, the mill levy for the city of Lamar as herein above determined and set. Introduced, read in full, passed on the first reading, and ordered published on this 11th day of October, 2021.
Make a motion to accept the mill levy.
Second that.
I have a motion and a second to approve the ordinance to levy. Any final questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
Okay. Next item on the agenda is application for a body-worn camera grant. This is initiated by Chief Miller. Chief, would you like to speak on this?
Absolutely. So this is a grant that's coming from the state of Colorado with the new Sandoval. I'm giving you no addition to the application because I got some fresher numbers and I can put in there the first time.
I've never seen this.
So in order to be in compliance with some Senate bills and House bills that were passed in the state of Colorado, in regards to body-worn cameras, the state of Colorado offered up $6 million to all the agencies in Colorado to fund the body-worn camera programs. We've been using body-worn cameras since 2015. Our program that we have and the cameras we have work well for us. We're just needing room for storage. So whenever I did the intent to apply letter, I just request funding for storage, not for body cameras, and they allocated $25,695 to us. We came up with about $30,000 we're going to to start a new storage area. So I would use that $25,695 and then cover the rest, the other $4,000 with my budget, so we can get this project running.
And to clarify, that's not like places for the cameras to be stored, you're
No,
talking
that's
about
where the
video storage.
Data goes.
Data,
yes.
okay.
I got a big education from Tom about how all this stuff works, so.
Data storage, okay.
Yep.
So, and you have that in your 2022 budget already?
It'll be this year.
It'll be this year?
Right.
Okay. So you have that in your budget for this year?
So I'm just asking for, to allow us to apply for the grant and allow for electronic submission of the grant.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the application of the and electronic submission of the body-worn camera grant. Any final questions?
Are you guys rotating the body cams out, like the old ones with new ones, or just to be on the safe side on those?
So as they quit working, we rotate them out. They're not cheap to replace. I believe it's $125 every time we replace one. But yeah, we have a couple extras already, so nobody's without one. As they start going bad, we replace them, yes.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
Okay. Next item on the agenda is item number 6, which is the agreement for law enforcement and security services at the 2021 Holiday Basketball Tournament. Chief?
This came in and I couldn't believe it was time to start looking at this agreement. This is just the agreement we do every year with the Holiday Basketball Tournament. On December 17th from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. And then again on December 18th from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. The price is $35 per hour as set by our fee schedule. They have agreed to the price and we're just looking to enter into the agreement.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the law enforcement and security services request for the event. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
Thank you.
Okay. So now we have two other items, number 7 and number 8. Number 7 was approve electric vehicle charging station license agreement for ChargePoint. I brought this in. ChargePoint is a company that is working with the state of Colorado. They'd received some grant funding from the state of Colorado. Some of you may have seen the ChargePoint stations that were installed by Village Inn in La Junta. Those were assisted by the state of Colorado through grant funding, and those are more universal for all types of vehicles for electric charging. They have asked to put in 2 stations there at upgrade the station that is currently there at the depot, the Chamber Depot. And we currently have a station there with 2 outlets. They are looking at upgrading those to the new type. We do have Hussein here if you have any questions on the electrical side, but this is just the agreement. Now, the one caveat that I want to bring out is that Lance and I have looked over the contract. The only thing is that they really need to have these available at all times for somebody to come in and charge. If there's somebody traveling through Lamar and they're running low on electricity on their vehicle, they need to be able to charge. I think we have 2, maybe 3 events where it may be a concern. But aside from that, I don't foresee any problems. I think the only thing we would need to do is ensure that we direct the event coordinators to keep those areas open for people passing through. I think that's easy enough, but I wanted to bring it out for the council to discuss. And if there was any questions on this one, original one for ChargePoint, we can discuss that. So I'll open it up.
So how could, like, Oktoberfest was 2 weekends ago. Not sure you're keeping Oktoberfest exactly where it is and allowing those charging stations to be accessible. They'd have to drive through the crowd.
Those charging stations are right up to the building, is that correct?
The one that for the ChargePoint are off to the side, on the back side, just north of the, well, kind of northeast of, west of the stage. Now they're where the existing one is currently. So there is a road that goes, a service road that goes behind the whole Enchanted Forest, and that could be remained open or be left open for access to that one. And it would just need to be kind of cordoned off to where they could do that. I think I went by there during the Oktoberfest to see what kind of difficulty it would be. It is possible for them to just fence off an area outside of that section without blocking it in. We'd have to just kind of redirect traffic that's saying that if you need to get in there, go through this alley or this road, service road. But I think it's possible to move it, but that's up to the council. I just wanted to let you know I did go by there during the Oktoberfest to see what kind of difficulty that would be. So, because of the location of where it's at, it would have to go through that back service road.
Are they putting in, what's there now, 2?
2 there now.
So they want to add another one?
Yep, they would be doing
So that'd be 4.
4 total with level 3 charging, so it's a higher, faster charge.
How often are they being used, do you know? Any idea?
Yeah, the one that we have right now, it's not used much at all, and it's because it's a level one. You know, the level one charging would take 4 hours, 5 hours to charge a vehicle, whereas a level three would take 20, 30 minutes. So for somebody to plan to come through Lamar to utilize that charger, they just wouldn't use it just because, I mean, they could do that at a RV site, for instance. That's equal to a dryer plug. Now I have a level one at my house, and that works just fine for me at home, but that's overnight. But for most people traveling, the level one's just not sufficient. So it was a grant that the state's offering. They're trying to roll out more electric charging stations everywhere, and they had asked about the Welcome Center to upgrade those, so that's what we were doing.
They're wanting to put in a pull-through site as well.
I'm
For
sorry, what?
trucks, a pull-through site.
You can see it on that last page. It has a picture of where they're going and then where they want the pull-through site.
I forgot about that last page. Yeah, so do you have the photo page?
I don't believe I do.
So they're wanting to do a pull-through site for trucks and trailers because, of course, with the new F-150, you know, the Ford F-150 Lightning, chances are that if anybody is pulling a trailer, a camper, they may need to pull up into a lengthways rather than just into a stall. So they were looking at doing a, where the sidewalk is now, doing a lengthways pull-up station. But it would all still be in that area of the, yeah.
So they want to rip out the grass and the concrete and then redo it right there for a pull-through.
Redesign that for pull-through for a trailer or truck. Yep.
Which makes a little bit more sense now, like during Oktoberfest, to be able to
Go back through
go
there.
through there
Yeah.
and charge.
Yeah, but if we're fencing this off for Oktoberfest and if they're pulling a trailer, they're gonna have to go through this area here to get out
Or
of there,
straight down to the beach.
right? Or make a turn here.
So they would either come in through beach or go off through there. Yeah. We had looked at doing it across the street, just south of there in the municipal parking lot. However, there are some sewer lines and a lot of water lines and the power lines that would need to be moved. Hussein had looked that up and researched it to see how significant it would be. He said it was 18 inches down, or 24 inches down.
So there's a 60-inch storm sewer main.
Oh, yeah, I got
You have to go below 18 inches, so that makes it 78 inches.
6 feet under if you went across the street. So really, it would just be that one area only.
That's where when we had the work session with the Tesla charging system,
Yep.
where that site was proposed.
Right. And the Tesla one has a different location that we'll talk about on the next item, but this one's just for the charge point.
And the funding, I didn't see anything in there that indicated where that they would pay anything regarding changing or modification of the premises. They're just paying for the service to put those charge points there, right?
Right, well, they would be paying for the modification of any of the work that's happening. I mean, if they're redesigning and reapplying that, they would be working on that. I mean, that's just part of the project that we would, building permit.
So where's the pull-through station gonna be?
So let me kind of draw this on. So it'd be like
Russ.
right here, where it comes at a corner.
So how do they get there?
They would come through beach, pull up and slide, and then they would keep going around the backside through the service road that goes behind along the railroad tracks.
Okay, then come in this way.
Yeah.
But like Kurt mentioned, we only have 3 events where they would have to fence off around that area. So that way they're not blocking access to that pull-through or any of the charging stations there. I apologize, I didn't go to Oktoberfest, so I didn't get a visual of, you know, the kind of work that they're gonna have to put behind this to block that off or give them access to that.
So right there where we would be blocking it off, they could put the fence to block it off, and they could still come in through the service way. They may have to unhook their trailer if they do have a trailer or something, but that's 1 day per year, or 2 days per
So
year.
they would have to unhook their trailer to go
Possibly.
charge their truck then? and
Possibly,
go
yeah.
through.
But we're still leaving it open and available. It's
Just
we're
during the
not-
events, they'd have to do
Right.
it, yeah.
Right. But we would have that ability to put it across and still leave that back service area
Would
open.
they have to back out then? Because they're.
Well, if they would have, they could turn around in that area there.
Well, but they're not hooked to their trailer at that time. During the
trailer.
during
No,
the
not with the trailer, no.
during the
They would
events, they would have to
take
hook
it off, yeah.
I'm just, when you look at this, that's right next to the stage.
Mhm.
And there's always little kids and booths and all kinds of stuff happening there. It's not super congested on that side, but there's people moving in and out of there, so it would be.
Yeah.
Like, that's something we'll have to talk with the event coordinators, that if somebody does pull in, they'll have to have at least a couple spotters and just make sure.
Yeah.
Or have some signage made, you
Well,
know.
I
if it
know
gets
for
through.
Oktoberfest, there was quite a few people there, and that would be really hard to have the vehicles come in, and there was lots of little kids at Oktoberfest this year, a lot.
But they
That
would
would-
have to fence it off differently.
Yeah.
They'd have to
That's what I
fence
was
on
saying,
this
is that
side
it
of the
fits
But then
right
you're,
there.
then you're
parking
splitting,
spots.
you're splitting one half of Oktoberfest from the other to give them.
Yeah, well, we can.
So the alternative is just to leave it the way it is, and then it stays a phase one instead of phase three?
Yeah, we can,
Well,
we
can they
can
just
decline it, but I just.
If we decline it, then
one
we're
day
stuck
per
with the
year.
phase one, that's
Yeah.
really, nobody's using.
Right.
Well, instead of upgrading, or can they upgrade the phase 1 to phase 3 and not go
That's what
with the
this is
pull through?
Well, the pull-through wouldn't matter. I mean, whether it's the pull-through or the other one, we'd still have to block it off to let them have access.
To me, it's no big deal. There's just a couple days of inconvenience, that's it. And if they really need to, we could just tell the directors or the event directors to be like, hey, allow them, we'll spot them for a little bit while they pull in, pull out. It'll just be an inconvenience for both the driver and the events directors for a few minutes.
And not have any vendors set up in that area.
And so Kirk's aware, obviously, we had that conversation, Kirk. We tried to change language in one of the other agreements, and it got nixed because a lot of these contracts are designed to be, to fit and form wherever they go across the nation, you know? So they don't want to see modifications, small modifications for each town, and then have to look back at what that agreement was. They want to know that their standard agreement was entered, because we tried to address that issue of, you know, that 1 time, 2 times a year, whenever there might be an issue with trying to have access to those situations, because we don't want to run afoul of this agreement either. We don't want to be in breach of the contract because someone didn't have a chance to plug in their vehicle. So, you know, it's obviously something the council has to weigh or decide.
What's the, if the agreement is breached, what's the penalty, the fee, the fine, is there?
Well,
There's really nothing in there that says it, but
So there's opportunities to cure the breach. I think they would probably start with that means first and trying to figure out a way to work with us. There's a notice that you can send them, a 14-day notice of an emergency event which could affect denying access. Now, is this an emergency event? Well, we know it's coming, so I don't know how emergency it is, but, or urgent it is, but, you know, maybe we give them a heads up and notice and try to work with them and say that this is an event that's going to happen. You know, I don't know what their system looks like as far as their customers and notifying them when something's down or being operated on or being repaired or whatever, but, you know, that's one way, trying to do it on the front end. You know, if you wait and it ends up being breached, you know, I can't speculate to all the things that might come up in a claim, but I think they would probably start with trying to resolve the issue first. The 10-year agreement, it's got a 5-year extension, mutually agreed upon 5-year extension after that. So I think they are looking to have an ongoing relationship, so I think they would try to work with us and make it work, but, you know, it's still a violation to not allow access to those charging points.
Right.
So
I
the
think-
thing is that we're still gonna allow access, it's just gonna be an inconvenient
Yeah.
access.
I don't think
It's
that's-
not like we're blocking it off, it's just gonna be an inconvenient access.
Yeah.
And we need to remember that we currently have an agreement with ChargePoint for or I don't know if it's with ChargePoint or SECD, but one of them with the current charger. And in that, we're also committing to keep that open.
Right.
It's already
So
there
we're already
now.
in agreement with them on this
It's already
issue,
there
right?
today with the
So all
same
we're really
contract.
trying to do is upgrade.
Right, that's all we're looking at is upgrading. I mean, the agreement's already there to keep that open, and we have signs saying electric car only.
So either we wanna upgrade it or just leave it the way it is.
Right, that's pretty much what it comes down to, so. But we're already committing to keeping that area open. You know, I don't know how blocked, it was blocked the other day, but I'm sure if somebody would have pulled up and said, hey, I need a charge, they would have probably kind of walked them through or pushed them through. But I don't know. I mean, it's up to the council on how you want to approach this, so. Yes.
I'm gathering somebody's already done the study, but it's not possible to put those charge stations down by the turbine blade on the western side of the parking lot from the Welcome Center?
Well, what happens is when you start getting that much of a distance, and Hussein can probably talk a little bit more about this, we start increasing costs significantly because we have to tear up between one end of the building to the other, so the whole front sidewalk would need to be torn out, or the street area. And then you're looking at the wiring and, you know, the distance. So there is some challenges there and loss there on that, yeah.
Yeah, that would be a great solution because that side of the parking lot's
Right.
very rarely ever used. And it's always open during those events, so.
So, and I'm sure they'll have other challenges in the way. It's just, the next step was to do the agreement to see if we're allowing them to do it. Then they'll work with Craig or continue to work with Craig to get the permitting process and design work and all of that done. But it's just whether or not we're gonna allow them to do this upgrade.
I move we allow him to do the upgrade.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the charging station license agreement. Is that good? All right, any final questions?
Can we, that picture, did that picture come from ChargePoint, that one there?
Yes.
Can we attach that when we send it to them with, as the exhibit A, that they have a
Yes.
blank spot on their exhibit A. In the contract, it doesn't really state which specific pieces, because I feel like it was kind of before we got to that point, so I want to attach that as our agreed upon location.
Okay. Yeah, and that was supposed to be, what they're doing is they met on Friday with Hussein and with Pat and all of them to determine. They're trying to write up so I can wait for the final site plan before we sign.
Is it different than, I mean,
I'm not sure, I wasn't here on Friday, so I don't know what they ended up with a final site plan.
okay.
Same thing we have in there.
Okay.
Okay.
So I would just add that as our agreement then.
Okay. All right.
They're covering all expense to do this?
Yep. We will probably help with some of the demolition and stuff like that, just to ensure that that's my understanding, and then I know there's a gas line and a meter. Okay, so they'll have to work with Atmos on that. Okay, so I have a motion and a second. Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
The next one is very similar. This one is for Tesla superchargers. The only thing that's different is the Tesla superchargers are specified to the Teslas. The Tesla supercharger network is pretty broad. The nice thing about the Tesla supercharger is that they're working on Highway 50. Currently, Salida has a Tesla supercharger, and then the next supercharger that's on Highway 50 going east, or east, is in Wichita. So there's a big, long area between Salida and Wichita that has no superchargers in the network. Now, in the area, in the region, we do have one in Lyman, we have one in Trinidad, there's one in Amarillo, one in Clayton, one in Goodland, one in Hayes. But it's all the outlying areas. So there's a big empty spot right in the middle of southeast Colorado. In speaking with Ian from Tesla, he's here tonight. Ian, you like to come up just in case there's any questions? Would you like to come up? Okay. So with that, they're considering or trying to get some in different locations such as Pueblo and Garden City, but they've asked to put one in Lamar because it's an ideal location. It's very centrally located between Lyman and Amarillo, as well as Pueblo and Garden City. It's a great location for them, and they think it would be a good addition for their network. So we were bringing this proposal in for the same kind of agreement. This area would be where the current bus stop is, which is in front of the depot. We would move the bus stop across the street next to the parking lot where those benches currently are. There are the new benches that were placed on Beach Street next to the parking lot. So it would give some bench areas for the people waiting for the bus. And then directly across the street would be the Tesla charge or the Tesla superchargers. And that would give access for both. So we'd have access there. Now, the idea of putting them in these locations were for the downtown access to be able to get to the local restaurants and areas like that, so.
How many spots are they asking for?
It will probably take that full area because they're looking at 8, is that right? Yes, please.
Answer any questions.
Can you state your name?
Yeah, my name is Ian Snow. I've been working with Mr. Crespin and Hussein over the past few months on this project, trying to find, what's the best location in the city to do this. And, we settled on the downtown location, just realizing, the amount of community that we could create by bringing more people to the area. I don't live here, but every time I visit, it's wonderful and it's a beautiful city. And as Kirk was explaining, there's a big hole in the network right now, and so the whole purpose of bringing these chargers, and I don't know where ChargePoint is, but probably could speak for them as well, is to allow people from anywhere to travel freely to the places that they want to go, or places that they've never been before. So, that's Lamar is kind of, as we mentioned before, a hard place to get to in an electric car right now, and many people are moving that way. The majority of electric vehicles right now are Teslas, so that's to say that there are more Teslas than every other electric vehicle combined on the road right now, and so they're all increasing, and it's coming quickly. So, the whole purpose is just to allow people to travel here and experience, the great history that, we heard about tonight, and, there's still things happening here every day that are awesome to see. So, that's really the whole purpose, and, happy to answer any questions about it as well. To the question about how many, we're looking for 8 charging stations or posts, and to fit in that area, it'll take the 11 spaces that currently exist, and that's just so we can angle them enough to, have enough space for both the charger and the parking space.
Well, I just think that much space is extreme. If that has to stay dedicated for Tesla only and Tesla customers only, because quite a few people like to park there and use that area. So I just think that 8 spots is pretty extreme. It's asking for a lot.
Yeah, and I can speak to the reason why we're looking for 8. So we have a very extensive modeling program, basically, that It shows over the next 3 years how many charge posts we'll need across the country in every location. So actually, before we came to Mr. Crespin with the idea for this area, we actually already known that there's a big gap here in Lamar, and people aren't able to make that trip from Amarillo up to Denver or Wichita over to Pueblo, wherever it is in that area. And we kind of modeled out that we'll need, over those next 3 years, that many charging stations. So basically, the amount of people buying Teslas across the country is going up so quickly that that's how much demand there will be for that route, and that most of those stations will be used every day, basically. And the purpose, again, for those is, for people to either travel to Lamar or travel through, get home for the holidays, basically. That's kind of our main concern, really, is holidays.
So you need 8 spaces, but you're blocking this off for expansion?
No, it's just the angle that it's at, which
Because
would take more
the
space.
charging post, kind of like the one that exists at the
Arby's
depot
and
already,
Old Depot.
the charge point one is kind of like a box,
I haven't seen it, so I don't know.
Well, it's about a 2-foot wide post, about 1 foot deep. But because it has to go kind of in the concrete next to the spot, it makes the parking spot a little wider. So,
Are they gonna look similar to what's there in Lyman?
yes, it looks basically exactly the same.
So I've seen both. Lyman is pretty slow. However, I've seen Trinidad where the last time I went through Trinidad, I actually had to wait because all 8 were taken up there. In Santa Fe, they had, I believe it was 8 as well. They were all full. We did have to wait for that area. So some of them don't get a lot of traffic. Some of them get an extreme amount of traffic. It just depends, and it also probably depends on the time of day and with what's happening at that time. So.
Well, I don't dispute his data, I mean, you see him out there, I just don't like the spot that you're choosing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we initially looked, in that parking lot, kind of closer down by the Quiznos, or anywhere else in that kind of square parking lot. And as we mentioned before, with the other charge point company, there's a lot of kind of barriers, physical barriers in that area, and so basically the infrastructure kind of pointed us towards that.
And they did look at the one across the Main Street, on the west side of Main Street, behind, over by Jane and Shoes and in that area. But getting the services over there, I thought was an issue, wasn't it, or was it not? No, it was okay.
It's easier there,
It is, okay.
but they want to get that area.
For the
Well, if it's
downtown
easier there,
access.
then that's where I would propose to put it.
The area would be, the difference would be in the area. Public bathrooms,
Still down.
things of that nature. It's still,
Correct.
yeah.
Yeah, I can speak to that as well. So the reason that we preferred kind of that downtown area by the depot as opposed to, the secondary area over there a couple blocks away.
Across the street.
Yeah.
It's more aesthetic, it's more to your appealing,
Well, it's more,
because the train's there and the welcome center's there.
less about the,
Well, if you were put over there on the other side of the road, then that would give you the opportunity to upgrade that area right there and make it aesthetically nice for the citizens. And say, hello, look at what Tesla did for us. That would be a great opportunity for you, great opportunity for us.
Sure. Those are good points, definitely. To speak to that, it's not so much the aesthetics of the spot, it's the customer experience, right? So my job is to, go around to wherever we're looking to put chargers, vet what the customer experience is gonna be like, use all the restrooms in the area, eat some food at the local restaurants and everything like that. And so that's what I've been doing here, and it's like I said, it's wonderful in that downtown area. Really love, like the cafe, and just ate at the Quizos tonight, and it was, really good.
And the other part of it is the Welcome Center, just so you know.
Welcome Center is also fantastic, and the point being, is not so much what it looks like, it's that when someone pulls up there and they, plug into charge, they're gonna spend 30 to 45 minutes, and they're gonna walk to whatever they see first, right? And that's gonna be that downtown area, those businesses that are within eyeshot. If they are pulling up to a lot that's, around the corner and it's hard to see or hard to know where anything is, and this, for example, maybe late at night, when they're traveling through, they want to be safe. For one, they want to have lights around and a bathroom nearby that they can use. And then they want to be able to, have an enjoyable experience as well. So, if they're coming through in the daytime, maybe they'll, pull up in the park and let their dog run around the Enchanted Forest there, or, take a walk through there, or, go grab a bite in the cafe and sit in the pocket park, rather than, they just, if there's nothing around immediately to them, they're just going to sit in their car for 40 minutes, play on their phone, and then they're going to be gone. So.
I understand what you're saying, but I still think they can have the same great downtown Lamar experience on the other side. I mean, it's just a hop and a skip across the highway there. And once again, if Tesla, I hope to see Tesla come to Lamar. I want to see Tesla come to Lamar. But that's a great area over there, and I think it would benefit Tesla as well. Give them more property, give them a way to add to Lamar, possibly with some grass, some planters there, some benches there. I'm just thinking outside the box.
So we had, just to explain this last part for you. In that parking lot, the city of Lamar owns a certain section of that parking lot, and then BSNF also owns the back section of that. When we went to go do the 8 parking spaces, the whole parking lot, the whole middle of the parking lot would be taken. So the only thing we would have in that parking lot are the 6 spaces against Beach Street. So that's the other thing you need to remember, is that if we do move it over there, chances are we're going to lose all of those parking spots over there, because BSNF owns the back half of that parking lot. The front half of the parking lot the city owns. So we can put in those 8, but then there will be no more parking on that other than the 6
I know,
spaces.
but we're going to lose all our parking anyway, Kurt, over there by the train, if we allow it right there by the train.
We have the lot across the street from it, the municipal parking lot. That's the difference. We have the municipal parking lot across the street over here. We don't on the other side. So all of the J&N customers and the main and all of those that are in that area will lose that additional parking in that back spot. So that's the other thing to keep in mind as we look at that.
This is the time where I wish we would have citizen input.
Yep. So.
And Tesla does understand there's a bar across the street. Yeah, what comes with bars, right? Yeah, drunk people. So, that was my only concern when we discussed this earlier with it there. So that was just it. But
Yeah, we definitely considered that as well. Vetted the experience myself in the area at nighttime, and I felt it was safe. Mr. Cressman assured that there's security in that area at many times as well, and that there haven't been any incidents really to report. So, we felt that it's still the right area.
Kurt, what's this?
That would be the actual door box, the transformer, and the transformer items that they have that would go with that.
Do the boxes at least look nice?
Um,
Stuccoed or anything like that? No, just.
No, it's not stucco. It's basically just a plain white box. It doesn't really look like anything to untrained eye, basically. Square.
So this agreement starts 5 years from the commencement date. When is the expected commencement date if it's agreed tonight?
I believe the copy I sent you, actually, sorry, we have a possession date in there, so that's the first date at which Tesla can begin construction. I believe the copy I sent for this was November 1st. That's very unlikely to happen that quickly. And then the commencement date is 1 year after that date. So basically, has to be installed by November 1st, 2022. Or we have to complete the work. Not we do all the work, basically. I just have a couple questions. I'm sure that somewhere in the country that they have done these on public parking like this before. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Do you know how that's enforced? I mean, do they write tickets for cars parking there that aren't supposed to be there, or towing them? Could you point me in a direction so I can do some research on the law enforcement side of it? Sure. From Tesla's perspective, we don't per se require anything. We put up a sign that says Tesla charging only, but we don't do anything to enforce that.
But what if somebody is parked there?
Sure.
What do I do then?
Generally, if this is on private property, for example, it is up to the property owner to enforce that. When it's on public, in Colorado, there is a state law that $150 fine, I believe, can be assessed on someone that parks there if they're not charging. But that, again, is up to your purview, basically, whether it's
Sure,
enforced.
I wasn't aware of it. I mean, we don't have a lot of parking for electric, so I want to do some research, try to do what to do on the backside of that. If this does back that, do you know if it's state law?
I believe so. I'm not fully sure. I don't.
Do you know of a municipality in Colorado that has it on public land that I can go look up with?
In Colorado?
Yeah.
I will have to get back to you.
If you would,
But I
I'll
can
give you a
certainly.
call after we're done.
Yeah,
Just so that
absolutely.
I can do some research. That'd be-
Yeah, I can send that to you tomorrow.
Sure.
Okay. Any other questions for Ian, or?
So in your opinion, what do you feel that the increase is in the next 3 to 5 years of electric car usage and station usage? I mean, in comparison maybe even to the last 3 to 5 years. So is it the trend, how fast is it growing?
It's growing incredibly quickly.
Incredibly, like a percentage.
Yeah, so the Tesla network, we're trying to expand basically 100-fold every year now. And, with basically every other major car company announcing either majority of their vehicles will become electric or 100%. I believe GM has committed to 100% by like 2025 or something like that. So very quickly, and that's just to say that it's just a changing technology, right? Like, it's still just everyday people, right? Just trying to get to the places that they want to travel and get home to their family in the holidays.
I guess my question was just that, if it's gonna be there, we wanna see it used rather than sitting idle.
Yeah.
And if the trend isn't really moving in the direction that's gonna happen, then it's a little harder just to have those spaces taken up. But if the trend is that, people are gonna be coming, they're gonna be using it, there's gonna be a need, then it's something that, it's understandable for us to go ahead and move with that.
I think for Tesla portion of it, like you said, with that big gap between Colorado Springs and Wichita or Lyman and Amarillo, we don't see them here because we just don't see them very often, because there's no services here. If
So-
you were in Trinidad or Lyman, I think you would see that more frequently.
Yeah. A quick story, they give me a Tesla vehicle to drive for work purposes, specifically to go to things like this or go scout sites. Actually was not able to bring it here tonight because the distance is too far to take it here and all the way back without charging to Denver. So there's a little bit of perspective on how much of a gap that is in the area. But then back to your question in terms of, where things are going. We just opened a route basically from Amarillo up to, through Trinidad up to Denver. And over the past 2 holidays that we had, it got absolutely slammed. People waiting in lines to get to the chargers and everything. I really believe that, this is perhaps a better route.
It is a better route.
From Texas.
From Amarillo, it's
up to
better.
Denver. More enjoyable, less traffic.
Shorter, no mountain.
Yeah, exactly. And so, this could really open that up and, bring a lot more of that traffic to the city, the economic development there, and also, that is where it's going, basically. So, just a few weeks ago, I was with our sales team in Texas, and they were, like, pulling their hair out with how many orders that they have for vehicles. People ordering the new truck that's coming out, and a lot of those people will be coming up to Colorado to recreate, so.
You have a question, Galen?
I listened to you guys talk about this, and I'm confused as to where this is going to be. Is it going to be on the same block?
Right in front of our train,
Right here.
right on the side of the train.
Picture right there. And right in these spots.
Yep, right there.
Well,
Pick
no,
that all
those are
up.
the front spot. Those are the front 4. There's the back,
Well, that was the bus spots.
on the back side,
Bottom line is here.
the back side of that.
You get a shot on the backside?
On
It's
the
on
back
the
side of
backside
that.
of that.
Cool.
Because those right there,
I thought you said here.
no, those are only 4 spaces, 3 spaces.
Should be a picture in
There's a picture in here. Yeah.
Lance, did you review the contract?
Yeah.
Agreement? It's all okay with you?
See at the very front.
Like we talked about on the last one,
See, I thought it was
we have a couple events that block off that
on the
section,
backside.
and so it's a concern, on how that's gonna impact the contract itself. We tried making changes to it, again, same situation, so I think there's not really a lot of changes we can make to it from that end. The city's covenant, they're making a covenant that the city won't interrupt the premises, use of the premises. There's a clause in there for notification, but that's really only for purposes of maintenance, and repairs, and that type of situation.
What is that?
Does Tesla,
You're already getting right over the Oktoberfest and all these other stuff. You're just jamming all of this stuff in there, and we've already got problems with what we've got. Why are we adding more problems, adding more places? That's still gonna be affected by Oktoberfest and the other festivals that we have.
Right.
It's not gonna work.
So we have the Oktoberfest, what else do we have down there?
The DCCE, which is a downtown car show, and I did talk to Trevor about it in length. And Trevor felt like that wouldn't be an issue, that they could work around that. Trevor Lacoste, who is the event coordinator. Now, I haven't talked to the chamber about it, the Oktoberfest. But those are the only 2 that I could find where they shut off that area. Now, Lamar Days, they have activities there, but it's not, they don't shut off that area like the streets.
What about the parade of lights?
And the parade of lights, they just park their vehicles there. They don't do anything in there. They just pull through there and move on.
I mean, you heard us talk about this earlier with ChargePoint, but do you know if Tesla has any issues with events that go on that might block them sometimes, which is kind of be an inconvenience? Do they, because don't they have like a little app that kind of routes their drivers around and do they notify drivers, hey, this might be a,
Exactly, yeah. So the way that it works is when you get in the car, it kind of puts you on a route like Google Maps would, and shows you where the charging stations are that you need to stop at to make it where you're going. And yes, it can show when a station is out for physical reasons, it's not working. We don't currently really have anything that can cater to events and things like that.
But it will say like one open or two open,
Yeah,
or,
it'll show you how many are open.
and the rest of them can be closed out. So if we were to submit to Tesla and say we're gonna use these areas other than two, they could at least alert drivers that there isn't that there's only two.
You're talking about how many days out of 365 that it's going to be done?
2 or 3 days, so.
2 days
couple-
out of 365, so, I mean, that's really no big deal, I don't think, as, for a community that's looking at trying to draw in this type of vehicle.
And I can add a little more color to this. So Kirk and I talked about this for a long time to kind of brainstorm this, event issue, and we want what's best for the community and also for the people that are coming through it. The intent is not to hamstring anyone into any issues. From our perspective, if we put a charging station here to open this route and allow people to drive through and visit the town and everything, they're going to be excited about that and, ecstatic to take a new route and see a new place. And maybe even if there's an event going on, they'll probably stop and go to the event. But if they show up and they can't use the charger, again, we're very far from any of the other ones, they're probably stuck. So one, that's a very bad experience. Two, they'll probably be then upset at the event that's going on.
But it might boost our hotel revenue.
Well, it probably will anyway.
Yeah.
And that's the idea. It's also a long drive. People need to stop to sleep. Yeah, and so, rather than saying something like, we're only going to allow you to have 2 events or something if we put this charging station here, we felt that it honestly gave more freedom to just say, hey, please, figure out a way within yourselves to keep it open, rather than like asking us if you can have the event. It just cognitively doesn't make a whole lot of sense that you all have to ask us for something. So it's kind of the perspective we get.
So I think we need to move forward, and anytime we ever move forward with anything, there's challenges. And I think with that being said, I move we approve the agreement.
I'll second it.
Quick question. This is a 5-year renewable contract?
It's a 5-year contract. They have the option, 2 extension options for additional 5 years, so it can be up to 15 years. And Tesla reserves the right to extend it those 5 other years.
If your estimate of use doesn't pan out over those 5 years, would you consider downsizing your footprint to a 4th charging station?
I suppose that's possible, but it has never happened.
All possibilities, just asking.
Hussein, you had a
don't really
question?
Yeah, I have for the future, most of the stations I saw charging in hotels, private sector, restaurants, shopping centers, stuff like that. Do you foresee that maybe one of the hotels, Holiday Express or Couple Store, whoever, put in charging, Tesla's charging stations? And how is that gonna impact the location that you have there now?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of superchargers in the past, the fast charging that we're talking about here, the 30-minute plug, a lot of those in the past were put at hotels in the beginning, just thinking that, oh, people are traveling to hotels already, we'll put them there, it's easy.
It actually doesn't make a whole lot of sense because when you go to a hotel, you're staying overnight. You don't need a 30-minute charge to keep going or to walk around town or wherever it is. You'd rather just plug it in overnight on a cheaper, slower charger, and then in the morning, you can keep going. So we're really not looking for hotels as much anymore for this kind of purpose. You know, the hotel owners could still buy their own slow charging plug it in, and then that's really no issue because, again, it serves a whole different group of people.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are there any final questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Me? No.
Okay. And Oscar abstained.
So we have a split vote with Councilmember Crampton, Mayor Crespin, Councilmember Jenkins, Councilmember Rodriguez, and Councilmember Temez voting yes, Councilmember Gonzalez voting no, and Councilmember Riley abstaining.
And the motion,
And the motion passed. Sorry.
all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda, we had any miscellaneous items. Do we have any miscellaneous items to discuss?
No, I wouldn't want to discuss. I just want to say thank you to Matt Bizick from the Powers County Youth and Andrew Williams for putting on a little, what would you call it, Linda?
Petting zoo.
Petting zoo in the park. They did a really good job. Quite a few people attended, and they did have a movie in the park. So I'd like to thank them. On Friday night, they had a movie in the park, but they did a really good job.
Wow, great.
And if I can, I would second that. 'Cause I had a chance to talk with Matt and Andrew, and the high school kids did a wonderful job with a bunch of little kids out there petting the animals, so.
Yeah, it was
Great.
great.
Okay, with no other miscellaneous items, what is the council's pleasure?
Make a motion to adjourn.
You have a motion and a second to adjourn. Can you move yours to a second, Joe?
I second that.
Okay. I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
Thank you very much for joining us. Have a good evening, and we'll see you next meeting.